There's a couple of images of the last couple of years that really stand out, and one of them for me was a true hero, Sir Captain Tom Moore. Do you remember him doing the 100 laps around his garden? Put me to shame. Wonderful man. Met him very briefly during all those media tours. Did feel a little bit sorry for him, if I'm honest, because he was an elderly gentleman, obviously. He enjoyed some of the limelight, but I could see he was getting tired, and consequently it wasn't something that he really signed up for. When he did the 100 laps, it was for charity, it was for the NHS. What's interesting here is Sir Captain Tom Moore managed to raise what he couldn't believe it, millions for the National Health Service. Of yet we've to see where that's gone. I mean, we're talking over 33 million in total. And then, of course, he had that wonderful day out at Windsor Castle where he was duly knighted by Our Gracious Majesty the Queen. I thought they both looked in fine form, He couldn't believe his luck, and she clearly had a sparkle in her eye. She just loved it, didn't she? It was probably one of the most pared down initiation ceremonies, investitures that you've ever seen. But boy, the sun was shining, he looked happy, she looked wonderful. And then, of course, we had the rumours of this. The organisation, the charity, was very quick to capitalise on the fame of Sir Captain Tom Moore. There was a book, there were mugs, gins, all sorts of things. The intellectual property right of his name was registered by the family, naturally, and the money simply poured in from all corners. And what's interesting here is then, people were asking questions, because once a charity is set up, it becomes a business. If you're just selling, say, cakes or a yard sale or something like that, a garage sale, as we say over here in the United Kingdom, it's just peanuts, really. I mean, I don't mean that rudely, but, you're talking £100, lucky if you get 500, that sort of stuff. It's great for the charity, but it doesn't necessarily turn into a business. It's just local people doing good things, or people just genuinely donating around the world, offering support. When it becomes a registered charity, then it becomes a problem, and particularly when millions are involved, and we are talking millions. The charity is under a very strict investigation as to how it was accrued the money and deciding who was going to be paid what. We were told that his daughter originally was willing to accept a salary of £60,000 for a 3-day week, but then it went to £100,000. As ever, we have to say allegedly. This is an ongoing legal case so far. What's interesting here is whichever way you look at it, it really has tarnished the image, and what should have been maybe a possible yearly celebration of a man that did so much good in his 100 years. Let's not forget that, he was a World War hero too, and a really likeable northern chap, let me tell you, down to earth, still had his spirit, and as he pointed out, Her Majesty the Queen, still as glamorous as ever, as he said, bit of an old charmer. And I liked him, truly liked him. So for him now to have his name attached to such a situation is really quite sad, on a bigger note. And of course this could take months to really reconcile. Either way, I do feel that while we should remember exactly what the great and dutiful work Sir Captain Tom Moore did in 100 years on this planet, let's not forget also that sometimes there are people that are not necessarily as charitable as Sir Captain Tom. Either way, as ever, when I know more, you'll know more. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.